So welcome to the January program presentation, where Anna Farrell and Christine Guillermo will be presenting on beekeeping and all their related information. I've known Anna for a long time. She used to be in education, but we met in AV Audubon. We both cleaned up the Prime Desert Woodland Preserve together, and we did that for several years. And she has recently retired from working in education, and now she is really working on her little farm. She has been beekeeping for 10 years, and she loves nature, birding, planting, gardening with native plants, running and reading books. And she has two lots of properties, and her second lot is a certified wildlife preserve. So I'm looking forward to hearing what she has to tell. And Anna, I'm going to let you take over, and let's make sure I made you a co-host when you came back in, and I did not, so let me do that. All right. And you can introduce Christine and get started. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
A little bit of feedback.
Okay.
We got feedback.
Yeah, I'm Anna, and here with me is Christine Guillermo, and I have a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation on beekeeping. If you have some questions, we'll be glad to answer them at the end of the meeting. And that's it. It's pretty much a very basic things of about beekeeping and bees, that sort of thing. Christine, you want to say something?
Hi, I'm Christine.
So you can go ahead and share your screen. So we've lost your audio. I don't know whether you muted yourselves or not.
There you go.
Can you mute that one?
Okay, now we can hear you. Okay, so Anna, you have the presentation on your computer, so I think you have to open it there.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to start our presentation. Let me get to that.
I'm going to click out of my Zoom.
I think there might have been interference between the two computers that was causing the feedback.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
I
now,
just clicked on mine, so I'm going to be on the screen with her.
well, I can hear you both clearly now. Thank you.
There was, like you said, it was feedback, but the
Yeah.
two computers are on the same table. I mean, you know.
I don't have this. Okay, here we go. View.
Down at the bottom, you should see share under, if it's not on your bottom
Share
menu,
screen.
click the three dots and share screen is in there. You can, that's what you click on. And then you're going to share your desktop and open up from your desktop.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes, but we've got the whole thing. So once you start the presentation, we'll see the whole screen as the slide. Right now, we see your setup.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. From the beginning. Okay.
They're perfect.
And okay, so we can do this, minimize it or leave it. You want to leave it?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, hello everybody. And there is an important link between the health of American agriculture and the health of our honeybees for our country's long-term agriculture productivity. And this was said by Dr. Kathleen Merrigan. Okay. All right. Let me just continue here.
The queen. The queen is the largest bee in the family. Her abdomen is longer and pointed, and her wings are the same size as the workers, but smaller than a drone's. Her stinger is smooth, so she can sting many times. The workers are the smallest and busiest bees. They are females that don't lay eggs. During the busiest season, spring and summer, they usually live between 3 to 5 weeks. In the winter, they may live between 2 to 3 months. And the drones are males that don't work. They can feed themselves or make honey or beeswax. They have no stinger, so they cannot defend the hive. Their abdomen is stubbier and more rounded than the queen's. They have bigger eyes and longer wings than the queen and the workers. They can live up to 3 months.
This is the bee's social structure, characteristics, and duties. The workers, they're the females, and most of the bees in a hive are going to be females. You're only going to find a handful of males or drones. So the workers, they do construction, storage, keeping the nursery, caretaking, scouting, etc., etc., etc. And the drones are the males, mates. Can you read this? Let me see. They're mates with the, mates with the virgin queen, and can fly backwards, like the slice it and rotate and flip. And the queen can lay up to 1,500 eggs a day. And she secretes pheromones to control the workers.
When the male mates, he dies.
Yes. And this is a brief anatomy of the honeybee. You want to read number 4? Proboscis. Proboscis.
Proboscis is the tongue, and it's for lapping and sucking up fluids such as water, nectar, and honey. The mandible is used for manipulating pollen and shaping the beeswax. Legs are the hind legs of the worker bee, and it's specialized for collecting and carrying pollen. And the wax plates are between in the abdomen, secret plates between the abdomen, and it's used to build honeycomb. And the wings, rapid flapping generates warmth, evaporates water from nectar to honey.
And the electrostatic charge, these have this to attract the pollen. And the eyes. Bees have 5 eggs, 2 large compound eyes that are on the sides, and 3 ocelli eyes that they detect light intensity. And they're on the top of the head, and the worker bees have nearly 7,000 lenses. Okay, and wing hooks, as you can see, and they have a honey stomach. And they also have a stinger. Okay. Now, beekeeping equipment list. This is for the beginners list, but as we have learned, being in beekeeping, besides all that's on the list, pretty soon you're going to be needing a honey extractor, uncapping knife, and hopefully electric, which makes it easier. Honey buckets, queen excluder, honey yards, frame, grip, and other items. And you'll find out as you go along. Okay, obtaining and preparing for bees. So whether you're a beginner beekeeper or established beekeeper, you can obtain bees different ways. They come in packages, or you can get it from established colonies, or you can collect colonies from buildings or from trees, and you also can collect swarms.
Choose a site that is away from areas subject to pesticides, close to fresh water, a stream, dripping faucet, or other device. Bees cannot swim, therefore place floating devices such as water lilies or water plants curl up around a water bucket or wine bottle corks. Easy access and not on rooftops, only if it is accessible. Near dependable nectar and pollen sources. On upper sides of slopes to improve air drainage away from hives. Away from wet bottomlands. Far from fire and flood areas. Near owner or neighbors to discourage vandals or thieves. At least 2 miles from other bee jars to diminish the spread of diseases and pests. Post your phone number or permit number on the boxes.
Okay, the City of Lancaster's ordinance for keeping bees is you can have it in a residential zone because we are part of LA County, but you need more than 1 acre. You can't have more than 2 hives, and no hives can be in the front yard, on the street, or on the corner. They have to be in your backyard. And they should be 5 feet from the property lines.
Good neighbor policy, okay. You try to keep in good terms with your neighbors, landowners or other people. So keep your bees out of sight by planting tall shrubs in front of the hives to hide them and to force bees to fly higher than your neighbor's head. Hope that your neighbor is not Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's cousin. So, adhere to state and city zoning regulations. Obtain a gentle race of bees and keep them gentle by requeening. Go ahead, you can reserve us.
Erect a sturdy fence to keep out the curious children. Have no more than 2 to 3 hives on home property site and no more than 20 to 30 in and out in an apiary. Don't work your hives if your neighbors are outside working in their yards. However, if you have bad neighbors, then it's
Party time
with
for
the bees. Yeah.
Learn
to keep your bees calm. If possible, work them only during sunny, warm weather or nectar flow, and don't start a robbing incident. I can tell you I had bees
here
in my yard for 5 years, and a new neighbor moved in and she complained and I had to move them. So it only took 1 bad neighbor out of everybody. Nobody said anything, but 1 person did. So yeah, hopefully you have nice neighbors.
And this is Christine right there. This is with her hives. And as you see, we noticed that there were some dead bees on the ground. And when you have that, that's an indication of a few things, robbing or poisoning. And robbing must be stopped immediately. Tell them what happened that
So
day.
I had robbing going on in my bees. This particular bee location is over by almost a Little Rock at a friend's house. And they rob. For some reason, they get, I don't know, they have their own honey, but they just think there's an easy target. And I thought the hive was strong enough to defend themselves, but they were not. And after a couple, I don't know how long it was, at least a week or 2 of robbing, that hive died out. They couldn't protect themselves anymore.
Yeah. And we also found some varroa mites. You see the red arrows, the little critters right there. And they usually cling to the drone brood because it's larger. And this is a pest that is the beekeeper's really nightmare. And it's all over the world, unfortunately. And we have to treat the hives for this reason. And another thing we have to do is we have to switch the treatments. We have to use a different treatment every year because otherwise it just doesn't work. And you can see it on my hand right there. You can see the larva and you can see a few drones. And it's called varroa destructor. It's a parasite and it's present in all the bees. throughout the US and most of the world. And you can see it on the picture, that little red dot on the bee, that's the mite, that's the Varroa mite.
Bee stings.
Yeah, one more thing I have to say about the parasite mite, Varroa destructor. Varroa mites harm the bees both by feeding on the developing and adult bees, but also by vectoring viruses while they feed. In our area, if beekeepers do not manage their colonies to reduce mite levels, there is a 90 to 95% chance the colony will die within 2 years from effects of the mites and the bee viruses they vector. Now, bee venom is very painful. That's my hand. I usually get stung many times because I don't like to wear gloves.
I do wear gloves.
And you do, because it's very painful. I might say it's very painful, but I let them do it because I noticed that it's helping with my arthritis. So therefore, I don't mind, but it's very painful. And the last time I had 16 stingers, 16 on one hand alone, and that hive I had to put down. Unfortunately, it just got too hot and I could not have that, and I couldn't find a place where to move it so I can requeen the colony. But even that, they were just too aggressive. So they have become Africanized. Yeah. So unfortunately, I had to put in that for my safety and my neighbor's safety and for the bees' safety too, because Africanized bees are very aggressive. Their temperament is totally different than from the European honeybee.
So I wear gloves and I don't get stung as often, but I have been getting stung since a child, since my dad was a beekeeper. And it's painful a little bit, but it's really not any worse for me than a mosquito bite. When I get stung, I take the stinger out right away, so it doesn't have a chance to put the venom in too much, and it goes away in a couple of days.
Yes. This is a swarm that we got, and this is where Christine keeps her bees. And we were able to get the swarm down to give it to Dr. McEwen. So here we are getting ready to get that swarm down and put it in a box. So, and we did that. We had no issues. No fear of stings. Many people are wary of insects such as bees and wasps. About 0.5% of children and 3% of adults have sting allergies from bees, wasps, and ants, which can sometimes lead to system reactions. Just remember, foraging bees collect pollen and nectar to feed their young and themselves. They are not looking for someone to sting. You want to read from here? Teach children? Go ahead.
Yeah, teach children to stay back and don't bother them. Don't be waving your arms around. The bees aren't going to bother you if you don't bother them. Do not disturb a bee or wasp nest. That is their home, and they are there to protect it. When you are safe watching bees as they fly from flower to flower. Honeybees and some bumblebees get defensive within 10 to 20 feet of their nests. So just stay back, share the space, and enjoy the show.
What to do if stung? If you are a beekeeper and do not use gloves like me, then I have to pop smoke over the area to max the pheromone. Otherwise, other bees will be looking for you. So that's what happens to me. So I have to have that smoker right by my side, and also the gloves if it gets pretty, if they get very aggressive, because that will mask the pheromone. Otherwise, I will have bee after bee coming and try to sting me. And these are some of the things that you can do. Remove the stinger as soon as possible. Scrape out the stinger with fingernail, knife blade, or credit card. Don't squeeze the stinger. Wash sting area with soap and water. Apply some ice to relieve the swelling and the pain, and also the redness. Seek medical attention if breathing is trouble, if stung numerous times, or if allergic to bee stings.
So I want to say, so when a bee stings you, The stinger goes in your skin, and there's a little sac attached to that stinger. And when the bee stings you and the whole thing gets released, that little sac, even though it's not in the bee's body anymore, continues to pump venom into you. So if you can get it off of you as quickly as possible, it doesn't have a chance to put that all in.
If you're chased by bees, run in a straight line to keep ahead of the bees, because bees fly in a zigzag form from left to the right and so forth. So by running in a straight line, you will be ahead of them, okay? European honeybees and most bees will chase a person about 30 yards. That's approximately 90 feet. Africanized bees can chase a person for about a half a mile, so you better be a good runner or a good sprinter. European bees take 30 seconds to perceive a threat. Africanized bees takes only 3 seconds to attack, and I've seen that. It's pretty bad. European bees will send out about 10 to 20 bees to defend their hive. Africanized bees send out hundreds of bees.
European bees calm down after a few hours, but Africanized bees stay agitated for a day or more. Watch your step, don't stumble, get inside a building or a car, never jump in a swimming pool, lake, or river, because they'll be waiting for you when you come up for air. They know humans are not amphibians. Also,
Smart.
I've noticed that if you're trying to get away from bees, if you walk through, those trees that hang branches, you can go through there, or some bushes, and you kind of fake them out because you went through some bushes.
Yeah, I do that.
So you can go through some bushes.
Yeah.
So,
okay, now if you look at all these critters, my question is, what do you notice about all these critters? It's the color. So these are bees' predators. What do they have in common? They're all kind of dark colors. Some studies indicate that over the centuries, bees connect dark colors with their predators. This is the reason why beekeeping suits are white or pastel colors. Mm-hmm.
Africanized bees are not different than European bees, only under a microscope. Africanized bees' venom is the same as a European honeybee. Africanized bees are a hybrid mixture of a European bee and a South Africa's honeybee.
Go ahead, Africanized.
Africanized bees are
Actually
a hybrid mix, did I just say, of honeybees from Europe and South Africa. The original bees were an experiment set up by biologist Warwick E. Kerr in 1967 in Brazil. These hives were his attempt to breed a bee capable of producing more honey and be better suited to the tropical climates. Precautions were taken to prevent interbreeding with a local species, but an accidental release changed all of that. Once the bees were out of the hive, so to speak, they quickly began to spread both north and south from Brazil. And by 2002, they were found in several southern U.S. states. It was not long before these bees were known as highly efficient invaders. Part of the reason for their successful intrusion is their tendency to abscond. They are much more likely to do so as a stress response than your typical European honeybee. Another reason why they've moved so far is their ability to usurp a hive. Africanized bees will move into a European hive, replace the queen with their own African queen. And in Arizona, they have seen this type of usurpation, what's that called? Mm-hmm. To be as high as 30%. And then some of the genetic traits that are dominant, such as more defensive bees and extended foraging behavior. Why are they known as killer bees? Among researchers, this title is debated because Africanized bee venom is no stronger than your typical. However, their defensive behavior is a force to be reckoned with.
These are some honey bee fun facts. Worker bees inside the hive fan their wings over store cells to draw moisture out of the honey to make it thicker. The temperature is kept at a constant 92 to 93 degrees. Bees can't recognize color red. but they can see ultraviolet colors. This UV vision allows them to see through clouds so they can tell where the sun is all the time. Their flight speed averages 15 miles per hour and can flap their wings over 11,000 times per minute. Move a hive 3 feet or more than 3 miles. And I experienced with this one time, I had a bucket with water for my dogs and some bees found it. And I said, oh no, you're not gonna share the water. So I said, I gotta move this bucket away. And I knew about these 3 feet or 3 miles, but I said, okay, I'm just gonna move it a little bit, maybe 5 feet. And when I did that, I stepped back and I was observing what was happening. And what they were doing is they were coming in and they didn't see the bucket. So they would fly around the little tree where the bucket was located. And they were looking for markers. And I said, I can't believe this. This is how they navigate. And and then I saw this, and then they will take off because they couldn't find the bucket. So I moved the bucket back 2 feet. So I just moved it 3 feet from where it was. And they were flying in and they were flying around the tree. And they fly a little bit away from the tree. And sure enough, they found it. I couldn't believe it. So I tested that. So it is. You move it 3 feet. Oh, 3 miles. Okay. So why are bees so important?
So Albert Einstein a quote from Albert Einstein, if the bee disappears off the face of the earth, man would only live for 4 years. Well, the good news is that there is a robo-bee.
Yeah.
Harvard School of Engineering and Applied Science conducted the first successful flight of a life-size robotic flight in 2007. The lab received $10 million in grant money from the National Science Foundation to build a network of autonomous artificial bees. Also, China has also done hand pollination. I hate to be paid to do that.
Yes.
The world will survive, but the food cost should be very high.
Yeah. Few years ago, I think it's 1983. I'm not sure on that. But this Southern Peninsula of Wuhan in China, they were having a lot of issues with insects with their, what is it called? Asian pear, which is very sweet. Yeah. I love them. They're so good. Anyway, that was the major fruit of agriculture there. And so what they did is they start using a lot of chemicals, okay? And this went on for 2 or 3 years. And finally, one year, the fruits, the trees were blossoming and they could not see a bee or a butterfly or any pollinators. And then they went to the government, to the Department of Agriculture. What can we do? What can we do now? And you know what they told them? It is your problem now. So you're going to have to pollinate by hand. And that's exactly what they had to do. And it's very costly and it takes a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money, a lot of patience, and a lot of, you have to pay these laborers, it's very intense, labor intense. So there you go. Now, without bees, this is how your picnic will look like. You like blackberries? Well, hold the blackberries. All you're going to get is the pie shell. You like watermelon like I do? Nope, no watermelon and no lemons. So goodbye, my lemon pie and my lemonades. You see? Guacamole, no salsa. Greek salad, you're going to have no tomatoes, no cucumbers, no onions, and no olives. Just the lettuce. And the fruit salad, you're going to have only banana and pineapple only. And the pasta salad, no broccoli, olives, onions, no peppers, no tomatoes. So this is what it's going to look like. And also the peanut butter. Look at
Yeah, no jelly.
No jelly. Goodbye berries, Okay. What are neonicotinoids or neonics? They're a class of nerve-disabling insecticides designed to kill pests that attack corn, soybean, and citrus crops. If you must use a pesticide, do it at night when most pollinators are not active, and use a pesticide that is more organic or environmentally friendly, or you can use things from around the house, like your liquid soap, dish soap. It's very useful for aphids. Now, what are neonicotinoids? I'm going to read a little bit to you. First developed in the 1980s and 1990s by chemical giants Shell and Bayer, neonicotinoids are designed to eliminate pests by compromising their nervous and immune systems. In 2005, Monsanto received patents to coat their proprietary genetically manipulated seeds with neonics so the insecticide would spread throughout the entire plant as it grows, infusing stalks, leaves, and most lethally for bees, pollen, and nectar for total protection. Over the past 2 decades, neonicotinoids have accounted for about 30% of the global pesticide market, with more than 2.6 billion on sales. When bees are exposed to neonicotinoids, their navigational system goes haywire, making them more likely to die before returning to the hive. They also forget, go ahead, keep it.
Oh. They also forget associations between scents of flowers and food rewards. And most of it all attacks their nervous and immune systems. Their neural circuitry, the honeybee depends on to function.
Mhm.
We depend on the honeybees.
Yeah.
Or when a bee has been poisoned, they die with their tongues out. And that's what we can see.
That's
what
why,
happened.
yes, that's how we can tell that they die from poisoning. Okay. And we depend on honeybees. As you can see this, honeybees are attracted to many common easy to grow plants such as rosemary, beer tongue, purple cornflower, and common sunflower. And Antelope Valley vegetation, it offers free pollen. As you can see, all these rabbit bushes and sagebrush. This is the lot that I had. Those are my bees. And I think they're beautiful. My neighbors think I'm crazy because I'm keeping all this. This is my landscaping. But it's beautiful. It doesn't cost me any money. And I don't spend any money, on water. Okay, so. And you can see, look at very close. This is the rabbit bush flower on the microscope on the right. You can see they're very tiny. You can read this. A meta-study.
A meta-study recently found that all insect life could disappear from the planet within the next century, leading to a collapse of nature's ecosystems. And the pesticide-intensive industrial agriculture is the key driver.
And you can look at the website, FOE is Friends of Earth. That's what it stands for. It's a pretty neat site to look at and to read about. And these are my credits that I took. And thank you very much.
So I want to say too that when I have a garden and life gets in my way. Now, I don't always get to everything I should be doing, but there are little things that you can do. I do them on accident, but you can do them on purpose. I let my broccoli go to seed because I was too busy to pick it. Bees love broccoli flowers. You can not mow your lawn or an area of your yard so that there's little weed flowers. The bees love those too.
Dandelions.
Yeah, dandelions.
I love
clover.
dandelions.
All those things. Those are all helping the bees. It doesn't look as neatly manicured as we all want our homes to be, but the bees need that.
That's a native landscape.
Yeah, that's
And it doesn't cost a penny. Okay. There you go. Any questions that we may be able to answer? If we don't know, we let you know that we can tell you about our experiences on beekeeping.
So Chuck had a question when you saw what is the smoke when you were talking about how you smoke the bees?
Oh, we use a little gadget. It's a smoker. It's a beekeeper smoker. And what I use is we usually use burlap, right? You can use burlap.
I use pine shavings.
Pine shavings. You can use pine shavings at the bottom, and you light it up, and you put burlap on the top, and you puff it, and the smoke comes out, and you put a lid on it. So the smoke, you puff smoke on the hives before you open them, because that calms them down.
Yeah. So what happens is when you're going to open the hive, they're going to get a little defensive, like, hey, what do you think you're doing?
Yeah.
And they're going to send out messages. So if one bee, let's suppose you accidentally squish one, and it puts a stinger partly out.
Mm-hmm.
So that sends a pheromone, and it's like an alert system to all the other bees.
Mm-hmm.
But if you smoke them, they can't quite get that signal out as good. So it keeps them calmer.
Yes.
And Chuck also commented that he shook his tomato plants to pollinate them. And yeah, I think that many times my mother developed hybrid roses with my uncle, and they would hand pollinate, and then we did like crossbreeding on fruit trees as well, the same way. But yeah, you're right. It takes a lot more work and effort than having the bee just fly from one to the other.
I had an issue a couple years ago with some zucchini. I didn't see any bees come by, and there were some ants, and I guess ants can do the job, but they weren't doing it as well. So I actually went out with a little paintbrush and went from flower to flower to pollinate my own zucchini because nobody was there doing the job.
It works. Huh?
Yeah.
Yep. I done that too with my lemon tree, which I kept in the summer. I would put them outside, but in the winter I would put it inside. And sometimes when it was very cold, I would bring it in. So I did that with a painting brush. Yeah, pollinated.
Jen wants to know can you give any details about how the queen uses pheromones to control the hive? It's
a natural instinct. It's they just, I don't know, can you say scientific? Oh,
well, you want me to speak on that just a little bit?
Yeah, you can.
Okay. So as an entomologist, I'll answer that question. The bees are actually born hereditarily with genetics to protect the queen. And all of them, all the other bees other than the queens are there, to protect the queen. So they are always sensing what the queen's behavior is. So when you get, like, sometimes when the queen is dead and so they're hatching new queens and you get more than one queen, then you'll have aggressive behaviors between the queens. They'll fight one another, sometimes to the death, but sometimes the loser takes off and part of the hive takes off with that queen.
Yes.
Because the bees just genetically are there to protect the queen.
They will also swarm even without having a fight. They're just getting too big for their box. Yes. And so they'll hatch another queen and then they'll split. But that's how they multiply. That's how they,
They genetic carry on their population. Now, Chuck wants to know, are the parasites bad for the honey?
Not that we know.
Would you want mites in your honey, Chuck?
No, they don't like the honey. They like the bees.
They only like the bees, right?
Especially, and they will kill the bees, or they want the form wings.
So when the mites go into the cell where the larvae is developing, and the bee is compromised, so it has deformed wing syndrome or whatever they call it. Yeah, and then they can't do their
Yeah,
job with no wings.
They will attack the pupae and they have a very large proboscis and they suck the juice out of whatever they are attached to.
And the female,
Just like a mosquito, when it bites you, it sucks out some of your proteins into itself. Well, mites do the same thing, but mites generally are more than one. You know, they cluster, like that little larva you showed, it had 4 mites on it. You know, and that's going to kill that larvae. It's
I
just
think
too
the
much stress.
the female mite goes in and she lays eggs in there. So then there's more.
Yeah. So when they hatch, they have a food source.
Right?
Yes.
You know, spiders will do that too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Do you ever have to destroy a hive due to parasites or disease? Anna, I know you had to take care of one because of the Africanized bees.
Yeah, because of their behavior. Yes, it just happened. I just put them down about 4 weeks ago. What happened was that my hive split, they swarmed, and they took my good gentle queen and they left me with a bad queen. And that changes the behavior on the bees because the pheromone, this new queen is more aggressive. Therefore, the colony has that tendency to do that. And let me tell you, it was not a good sight. I had bees all over my suit. They were attacking. They were coming at me like, and I was with my neighbor, Mark, you know, Mark?
Mm-hmm.
Mark was with me. And they would not leave us alone. We immediately have to close the hive, which is barely, I was trying to treat them for mites. But when I saw that behavior and they wouldn't stop, they were all over our suits, you know, that's a bad sign because bees are gentle and that they don't supposed to act like that. And so at this point, because it's winter time, there's no way I can find a queen. I called a few breeders and they told me, good luck, you're not gonna find any queens right now until spring. And another thing is that I have the chance by that point, at that, you know, the colony is going to be more aggressive, a little bit larger. And so I will encounter 50-50 chance. If I give them a good queen, they're probably going to kill it. And that happens. It happens all the time. So I said, and the thing is that I could walk around them like 5 feet away, 3 feet away. I got a little closer. I was fine, no problem. But the minute you came, I was coming close to it or even touch it, they were all there, bang, like that. And that's what African bees do. Their behavior is too hard. And I was concerned because of my neighbors. They have horses, you know, they have livestock. I do too. I got my chickens, my dogs. The neighbors, they have children. And I said, I cannot have this here. So I have to put them down. And the only way we got rid of the bees, because they were still chasing us, we have to get in, Mark has like a golf cart. So we hop on that and then we drove a few blocks around and then we left them. And I told Mark, listen, when we get to the house, we have to run from the gate to the house because they will be waiting for us. A group will be waiting for us. Sure enough, when we got back, I dashed and I could see him, you know, coming, but I'd run to the house real fast, bang, and that was it. And Mark had to do the same. And we stayed indoors for about 2-3 hours and we came out and, you know, they were calm at that point. But at that point I said, I cannot have this, you know? So, yeah.
Somebody was asking about honey. They said, how much honey do you normally get from 2 hives? That depends on the year.
Yes.
Honeybees are still considered agriculture, and some years are better than others. So I've had up to 40 pounds
Yes. It
from 2
depends.
hives, but
Yeah.
other years I've had nothing.
Yes, very low because of the drought too.
Yeah,
There's
it's a
not that
drought.
many flowers out there, you know. One year it was like, I think it was around December, and we had like 1 week that it was kind of like, it was sunny, not too windy. And I went by the hives and they were flying because they will come out that, you know, the sun is out, it's not too cold, they're flying. And I saw them coming with pollen, and I said, where are they getting the pollen from? I mean, there's nothing out here, right? And so I stood on the side and I started observing. And I saw their fly path. They were flying east, like southeast from where I live. And I said, they're going to Lowe's. Lowe's has flowers in their garden. So I went to Lowe's and I'm
There's my
looking.
bee. There's my bee.
And I said, what are you doing? I said, I'm looking for my bees. And sure enough, I found a lot of bees. I said, those are my bees, right? That's where they're getting the pollen. So I figured it out.
Here's some honey from this summer, and it's already starting to crystallize.
That's good honey when it crystallizes. Yeah.
So
That's good. That's
just
how
been
mine looks like.
sitting
too.
over here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's good.
I think I got 65 pounds this year, but that's from more than 2 hives. It was, I don't know how many hives because I kind of mixed it together, but it was at least from 4. So I have to leave enough honey for them to eat over the winter.
Winter. Yes. That's another thing I noticed. What was it? 2 weeks ago, I said, I'm going to open the hives to see if they have enough honey, you know, to make it through the winter. I open them and I look and they have honey. And I said, but from where? I mean, where are they getting it? You know, I mean, and so I look very closely on the shrubs and the bushes that I have there, my native stuff, right? And they are getting pollen. Some of the plants, they look like dead, dry, but there's pollen in it. And there might be some nectar in it. And I said, I don't know, but I don't have to worry about feeding them. They have plenty of honey. So
See, now
How about yours?
every hive is different. Every
Yeah.
hive has a personality. Every hive has a different, some hives are more into making bees and some hives are more into making honey. You kind of want the ones that want to make honey and not just populate themselves. Because I have a hive that I checked that was small, and in November I opened it and I saw honey because I cracked some comb and it was dripping. I went a couple of weeks ago, they had sucked it all dry. They've been eating it, they don't have any left. I'm feeding that hive. So I don't want them to die out. I want to give them every chance.
yes.
So what do you feed them when you have to feed them? Do
Sugar
you feed
syrup.
them honey or
Yeah.
syrup?
Yeah, and it's kind of expensive because
Yeah.
in winter, the ratio is 2-to-1. That means 2 cups of sugar for 1 cup of water.
Yeah.
Do the math. That's a lot of sugar. And when the weather gets a little warmer, it's 1-to-1 ratio.
Then
One-
it's better.
Yeah, and then it's better. It's a little bit fluid, you know. So.
Yeah.
mhm.
So.
Well, this was really fantastic. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
I mean, I learned things that I didn't even know about bees, and I thought I knew a lot about bees.
So they're asking from cane sugar. Yeah, I go to Costco and buy a big bag of
Yeah,
Of
it can only
white
be
sugar.
white sugar.
white sugar, not
White
brown sugar, not raw sugar, not
Not, yeah.
any, just white cane sugar.
And that's the same thing for hummingbirds.
Yes.
Their physiology is related to just cane sugar and not other kinds.
Yes.
So don't feed your hummingbirds honey, even though you might want to.
And
Honey's too expensive to give them.
and bees loves
And you'll-
hummingbird feeders. Too,
Yeah,
right?
you'll
Because they
attract all the
know-
bees.
Yeah. Because it's cane sugar and they like cane sugar. But it's not the 1-to-1 ratio or even the 2-to-1 ratio. It's a 1-to-4 ratio.
You're welcome. Okay.
Well, thank you very much. We really appreciate the knowledge and education. And with that, we will be having our next program, I think, in March, which will be at the Prime Desert Woodland Preserve. And we'll tell you more about that later in the newsletter. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Chuck will be putting it up onto our website. Thank you. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.